welcome back to Coffee with a Kick. I'm Xander, that's Keegan, and it was an interesting weekend of action. A little bit of winnowing, I would say, as far as relegation is concerned. A little bit more breathing room for some, more dire situations for others, improvement among some. We will get to all of it here, including the additional Manchester derby we get for the FA Cup final. We'll get to that in a second as well. But first, we don't do anything before we get in. But first, we're going to do the Premier League. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Unless you have anything you want to. But first,
it's not really a but first. We'll get to it. But finally, Burnley actually paid off my. This will be the game that they get some points.
This will be the game.
Style.
That and you've got a new background. You've got your Lord of the Rings, Middle Earth background. I see. Is that right? Yeah. Mordor, Beleriand. There we go. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Gondor, Hodor. Nope, wrong franchise.
It's not mine, so this will probably be the only time it's in the background.
Oh, limited edition backgrounds today, ladies and gentlemen. Limited edition backgrounds.
Subscribe to see more. Subscribe to see more.
Yeah. Well, I'll switch up my background at some point. You know what? I might even swap up these jerseys back here. Whoa. Now we're talking. Now we're playing with fire. Speaking of playing with fire, Luton Town caught some fire from Brentford here all of a sudden. 5-1 seems like a bad scoreline. It was 5-0 until 90 plus 2 when Luke Berry squeaked one in there for Luton. Otherwise, they certainly looked like they were not interested in sticking around in Champions League, in the Premier League, especially with Burnley doing what they did.
Yeah, this was this kind of felt like a championship match. Neither team really had a ton of possession. They were just kind of knocking the ball all over the place. Brentford was just a bit more organized, and they controlled the match for all of it. There were a couple of Luton chances, but yeah, and it wasn't even, you're down 2-0 at half. There's still a chance.
Yeah, you still got a puncher's chance in there. It was a brace from Wisa there in the first half. You can come back.
Yeah, then all of a sudden, 62nd, 64th minute, it was the knockout blow. Yeah. And at that point, I think Luton was like, we just need to make up some goal difference. And they finally got one there at the end, but not much.
Yeah, it's hard to win a match when you're outshot 21-6. Okay, if that says anything about a match, it's probably that you lost. But yeah, it's Luton. Luton now dropping. They were already in the relegation zone, but they have now lost ground on goal difference on Nottingham Forest. Still only 1 point back of Nottingham Forest because we'll get to them in a moment from their match this weekend. But we will go ahead and move on to the Burnley match that we mentioned just a moment ago. Burnley pulling off the victory there at Sheffield United, 4-1, impressively so. Good luck.
This is the Burnley team I've been waiting on because they had the potential. They finally used their possession to their advantage. And frankly, in this one, once they got up by a couple, they kind of let Sheffield have the ball a little bit more. But really good. I felt like Sheffield played much better in the second half, but just could not finish any of their chances. Some of their shots on target were just petering to the goalie. They weren't really actually good shots, but kudos to Burnley finally showing here at the tail end why they were promoted. We'll see if it matters. They're going to have to, 4 matches left. They're going to have to win 1, if not 2 more to stay up. But this could be get hot at the right time. That's what we always say.
Getting hot at the right time. They have looked significantly better recently, only dropping 1 game in full. It was the game against Everton, so it was pretty important. But, getting a lot of points against better sides. A point against Chelsea, point against my Wolves, a point against Brighton, and then beating Sheffield handily bodes well for the rest of these matches here. Yeah, they've only lost 1 match since they lost 4 straight back there going into March. But since then, draw, win, draw, loss, draw, win. So they have up next. They will have a tough time up next. They are done with their dregs their dreg schedule and moving back into more more difficult. It's funny looking at the next up though, because Burnley plays Manchester United next, and Sheffield's next match is also against Manchester United. So that's a bit funny. But from there we go to my Wolves. We split these two. I picked Brentford to win. You picked Luton to win, and then I thought this would be a draw, and you did, in fact, take Burnley to win it. So we're both 1-1 going through to the next match, which was my Wolves and Arsenal. This one played out pretty similar to what I thought it would. Arsenal controlled this match quite a bit. All the impetus was on their side. We did not have a lot of chances for breaking in how we've been playing and being successful recently. We've not been able to do that. And again, this is very similar to the Brentford one in that 24 shots for Arsenal as opposed to the 5 from the Wolves. Hard to win a match that way, even when the possession's relatively even.
Yeah, tale of two end of the halves. It felt like Wolves just couldn't quite end the half on their note, because 45th minute goal, 90 plus 5. Both goals were coming. Arsenal were knocking at the door the entire match. Probably could have been worse. But Wolves it was almost like when teams play Man City. They came into it very timid, came into it just expecting to have to sit back. So it didn't feel like there was a lot of attacking. So that kind of game plan never works out against these teams. So 2-0, I felt like it probably could have been worse, but you'll take what you can get. Wolves aren't playing for much right now, so.
No, I mean we didn't start Ainori or Sarabia in this one. We brought them on in the 75th, maybe to try to get a point out of it. But we're still down on. Man, I can't remember his name now. Our main guy who had been so good in the middle part of the season.
Pedro Neto
is still out. And at this point, I don't know if he'll come back this season and just carry through to the off season and truly get healthy going into the next. But that's we'll go ahead and hit Chelsea and City here real quick, since that occurred on Saturday. City won. It was one. My notes are not from me. 1-0. I believe is what that was. Hold on, let me get it.
1-0, 84th minute redemption goal for Bernardo Silva. He comes through off of a deflection from the keeper, and it was great. Honestly, City looked like they got hit by a bus before the match. I mean, they looked sluggish, they looked tired. End of the match, Pep even complained about the rigorous schedule of having to play every 2 to 3 days. It's just not enough time to rest people. And with all the rules, it's not like he can pull up as many academy players as he wants. There's certain rules around the competition. So I don't know all about that. What I know is we won 1-0. And Chelsea probably should have won. They were the better side. I think Nicholas Jackson could have had 6 goals. But I think he missed 4 within the 6-yard box that either went to Ederson or he just skied it. So we got lucky. I'll take it. And as we'll talk about for the Sunday match, it's going to be a Manchester derby. It had to happen.
It had to happen. But yeah, that's a pretty good summation of how that match went. City was lucky to get it to go their way. At least something broke their way as far as tournaments are concerned for this season. And we'll see what happens in the FA Cup final. And then to Sunday. First one up was Everton taking out Nottingham Forest, the 15-16 match on the table. Big points here for Everton. Puts them 4 clear of Nottingham Forest and 5 clear of Luton. So with only 4 matches left, there's not a lot of points left on the table for these teams, just with the scheduling that they have coming up. So it was a huge result here for Everton, taking it 2-0. And really, it was Nottingham Forest was pressing hard. I mean, they had the vast majority of possession. It was 60-40 split here. More shots on goal, but just not a lot of good quality looks. Only 3 of them ended up being on target. And Everton gets the home victory over Nottingham Forest, and maybe gets them enough to be able to, unless they come in and get more point deductions, then I think they might be good to go for the rest of the season. Just being able to coast it out a little bit.
Yeah, barring point deductions, I think this was Everton's statement that we're going to be in the Premier League. It's hard for me to think they have a game in hand on Nottingham and Luton. Hard to imagine that they're not going to get some points out of that. And with Nottingham's schedule, Luton's schedule, Burnley's schedule, these next 3 match weeks are going to be really hard to get some points in. So my excitement is I'm hoping that Burnley can get at least a point, stay within 2 of Nottingham. So then they play each other match week 38.
That's exciting.
So that could be the match that sends one team down and one team staying. So that's what I'm hoping for. But I think Everton's safe. I think they were the better side. They just looked more calm, to be honest. Nottingham kind of looked in disarray at times. So I don't know, but not looking good for Nottingham.
Yeah, big result for Everton. Then to Aston Villa and Bournemouth. Gutsy win here by Villa, going down to a 31st minute penalty from Solanke, and then coming back before the half, and then kind of taking over in the second with a very solid win on their side. Let's see, that kind of solidifies them there in 4th. I mean, they got 6 points on Arsenal at this point. Sorry, not Arsenal, Tottenham, but Tottenham does have 2 games in hand, so that could. Tough games for Tottenham, but it's definitely puts Villa in position to. They're in the driver's seat, essentially, is what it comes down to for automatic Champions League qualification. And at this point, the only Champions League, because 5th will go to Germany. The 5th place team will go to Germany because of their performance this year.
Yeah, I mean, this was a pretty classic at-home Villa match. So far this season, I think their expected goals in the second half is double what it is in the first half. They just seem like they chip away at teams. They get their goals. So I predicted 4-2, ended up 3-1. I'm okay with that.
Both of us were on the right side of this one with Aston Villa coming away with the victory. We both missed the Everton Nottingham one. And you thought that my Wolves would beat Arsenal. So that's on you. Then to the shocker of the weekend, I would say, because Crystal Palace just wanted to prove us just totally wrong. They dropped 5 on West Ham just out of nowhere. Granted, one of them is an own goal, but still, but they got their own. West Ham got their own goal as well. So a little bit of a give and take there. But yeah, I did not see 5 goals coming from Crystal Palace this weekend.
Yeah, pretty impressive for 4 of them being in the first 31 minutes of the match. Crystal Palace, after that, I felt like they just kind of coasted. They only ended up with 7 shots on target. And I don't know, West Ham, this felt like a game that West Ham wants to dominate. But then Crystal Palace led in every category.
Yeah. It
was very uncharacteristic from West Ham from the get-go. And hard to overcome being down 4-0 in the first 31 minutes. They tried, but not going to happen for you. Crystal Palace, you're right, proved everyone wrong. They continue to score at a pretty good clip. I don't really know what to make of them. They're safe. They may make a push to be spoilers in a way, but 5 goals against West Ham is pretty good.
Yeah. The stats on this one are pretty lopsided. 60-40 split possession for Crystal Palace, 18-4 shots, 7-1 shots on target. So I mean, West Ham was lucky to get 2, really is what it boils down to in this one, with one of them being an own goal. But yeah, we'll move on from that shock result to one that, well, at least I saw coming. No, you. Oh, I did it again. I put you as picking Liverpool and you didn't.
If we've learned anything from this podcast show, it's that you should never put Xander in charge of one-time statisticianing, because he will Kevin Malone it. and make some mistakes.
Well, it's because it was Fulham versus Liverpool, and you should be picking Liverpool to win this, but you didn't. You didn't pick them. You should pick to draw, and Liverpool
At
wins
halftime,
it.
my draw was looking great.
Yeah, at halftime.
It's tied
Yeah, yeah.
1-1. I'm feeling good. Fulham, I mean, they just fell apart there. Just mental lapses. This was a good game. Like, it was an exciting 3-1. I felt like Fulham was in it, and they played like I thought they would. They really went at Liverpool. But, I mean, it was just the quality by the end of the match that won out. Liverpool finished. They had some good finishes from Gravenberch and Jota. So it was tough not to get the draw, but I wasn't far off. Just didn't fall the way I wanted it to.
Right amount of goals, just the wrong spread.
Yeah.
But yeah, that does drop you to 3-6 on the weekend because neither of us got the Covington. We almost both got this right. You almost got it kind of exactly right because it did go to penalties for Coventry City. I'll correct myself. Coventry City and Manchester United. And Manchester United ends up pulling it out 4-2 in a 3-3 thrilling match because Coventry City came back in stoppage time to pull it level. But yeah, it's too bad for Coventry City. It was a good showing for them, especially since they don't have anything to play for being mid-table in the championship. So they're not moving up in any capacity. But, maybe they can take this and build off it for next season. United, they're happy they didn't lose to a championship side. Hoping to definitely play spoiler for their better half in the recent seasons as far as the cross city rivalry is concerned with City and United. But it's gutsy win by United in the end.
Yeah, this one was exciting, mainly because in stoppage time, 121st minute, Haji Wright crosses it in, and they score. VAR, by what was pretty much a toe, calls him offside, calls Haji Wright offside, and that's what sent it to penalties.
Yep.
Coventry had the match, but VAR played spoiler, and Coventry, they were up to begin penalties, and then they just couldn't convert in the back half. So tough to see, but yeah, it was exciting. Exciting for sure.
Very, very good match. And that brings us to the end of match day 34, right? Yeah. Match day 34. Like I said, you were 3-6. I ended up going 5-4 back in the green on this one. Definitely not for the season, but at least in the past couple weeks is my good performance. Granted, 2 of those don't actually count because they are FA Cup fixtures. But from there, we'll move to our midweek action. We've got 6 of them coming up in this midweek, all EPL matches. We'll go ahead and start here with the first one that comes up, which is Arsenal taking on Chelsea later today at Emirates Stadium. I think this one goes 2-1 to Arsenal. Like City, they have nothing to play for Well, City still has the FA Cup, but like City, they're no longer in the Champions League, so they don't have to worry about that, and they can focus in on this. And Chelsea, what have we've always said about Chelsea so many times this season, in this calendar year, is you don't know which Chelsea team you're going to get. This one could go like 3-2 to Chelsea very easily. But I think that this is going to be a down one. They're at Emirates Stadium, which is a big deal, I think, in this. And it goes 2-1 Arsenal's way.
I think with the short week for both teams, I think Chelsea has the youth to get a draw. I think it goes 2-2. They've been playing pretty well. They're going to be pretty disappointed to not have beaten City because they should have. So I don't know. I think they have a potential to play spoiler and knock some more points off Arsenal. I don't know who will if it's not Chelsea, but it feels like that kind of game. Arsenal's played every 3 days for the past, I think, 3 weeks. So
could be
at some point they're going to run out of gas. We saw it in the Champions League. I think this could be a similar type of match.
Well, I mean, you certainly hope so because it makes things easier for City. That's the only one on the docket for Tuesday. Then we move to Wednesday, starting off with my Wolves and Bournemouth. This one, my Wolves don't have anything really to play for right now, except for kicks and giggles and maybe some glory. Maybe, but it's Bournemouth. Bournemouth actually is playing for something. So I think it goes 2-2 as a draw here at Molineux, just because I think that it means more to Bournemouth. I could even see it squeaking Bournemouth's way. But I'm going to stick with a draw, get us the point, get us in and out. Not quick, not dirty, but certainly efficient, I guess. I don't know, maybe.
I think Wolves bounce back. I think they win 2-1. I think this is the perfect style of game that they can bounce back. And Bournemouth, again, has been volatile. They've gone on 6-match unbeaten streaks, 6-match losing streaks. I think Wolves is just the more organized and cohesive side, the more stable side even. So I think 2-1 Wolverhampton.
Like I said last week, I certainly hope so, but I don't believe so. Then we go to Crystal Palace, see if they can carry on this strange momentum they have against Newcastle, hosting Newcastle at Selhurst Park in London. How do you think this one breaks down? Do you think Crystal carries through that goal scoring prowess?
I think they're all goal scored out.
Mm-hmm.
I think they lose this one 3-1.
Hey,
again,
cribbing off my score.
I'm looking at the names and I'm thinking Newcastle is better than Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
It's what I did last week, and I was clearly wrong. So this could be another 5-2 drubbing. Who knows? But I'm predicting 3-1. I think Newcastle's a little better. They still have a chance to maybe get European soccer if they play really well and win some more matches. But I don't know. I think after 5 goals, it's hard to think that a team can come back and score 5 or even 3 again the very next week. So I'm going 3-1.
Yeah. Like I said, cribbed off my score sheet. I got 3-1 as well. Newcastle and West Ham are relatively are pretty much the same position as far as table is concerned. West Ham's goal difference is way worse though. Newcastle will sometimes drop like a 5-piece on people randomly. It's not going to be 5. It's going to be 3-1. I think Newcastle takes care of business, even though they are away from home. And Crystal Palace comes back down to earth. Yeah, I just don't think that they can keep that run going. Of course, now they're going to score 7 goals in this one, with 2 hat tricks from like Eze and another player.
Mateta.
Yeah, Mateta. We'll go with Mateta. But, maybe. And then we go to Everton and Liverpool at Goodison Park, the Merseyside derby, the other leg of this. It's a blood match, but I think it's all the blood's coming from one side, and it's Everton. I think this goes 4-0. I think Liverpool is locked in. And I think that they are a significantly better team than Everton is, just in every aspect. Even if they are at Goodison Park, Everton, they may feel a bit of relief after this previous match day, winning 2-0, and maybe take their foot off the gas a little bit. And you don't want to do that when you're going into when you're hosting Liverpool, because they will curb stomp you. And I think that's what happens here, 4-0.
Yeah, the Merseyside derby, the last 5, it's gone 4 wins for Liverpool, 1 draw. The last 5 match weeks for Merseyside derby.
Does not bode well.
Only one of those, however, was a blowout. The last 2 have been 2-0, with one of those being a 90+7 Origi header, wild goal. And then I think 3 of those 4 wins have had 1 goal in stoppage time to make it 2-0. So all that to say, I think it goes 1-1. I think Everton's playing really well. I don't think Liverpool is as locked in. I think that they're beating sides they should beat. But in a Merseyside derby, Everton knows it's win or go home. Even though they just beat Nottingham, they're still going to be pressed to get a win. So I think it goes 1-1. I think they're desperate for points. Liverpool is also desperate for points, but who knows? Stranger things have happened. I'm going 1-1.
I think that 1-0 loss to Crystal Palace, just over a week and a half ago, I think. Hold on, that was about that long ago, right? April 14th. So yes, about a week and a half ago. I think that was a wake-up call for Liverpool. I mean, it dropped them out of first, essentially. So I think that they will, I don't know. You know what I think, 4-0 for Liverpool. Then to a match that I probably won't watch very much of. It's going to be one of those 9-minute condensed NBC Sports ones. Not a lot happened when it's under 10 minutes. I've got 2-2 actually for Sheffield United and Manchester United. So it'll be, Sheffield will pull a point from people when you least expect it. And I think that this is one of those times. They're sunk. They're out of the league. They're going down. And I think they're gonna feel loose. They're gonna be loose. And they're gonna point here for no reason whatsoever other than they still have some respect for themselves.
Yeah, I have it as 1-1. I think that somehow they scrounge a goal in there. I think they get an early goal, like first 30 minutes, and I think they just park the bus. And I think Man U gets a late goal. I really think that, similar to you, Sheffield, they have nothing to play for except to just spoil everyone else's season.
I just don't know if Sheffield can keep a team to one goal. I think that's more of the problem. Let's see. When was the last time they only conceded one goal? I am going back now, at least not in the last 5. Let's see. 4-2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 6. There we are. My Wolves were the last team to score only one goal. Their 1-0 victory back on February 25th. So basically 2 full months since they've only allowed one goal. And yeah, so 1-1 would be an improvement for them for sure. Yeah, but still a draw. We agree on that score. Wow, on that account, we'll say more appropriately. Then to the last one of the week of the midweek on Thursday, BHA Brighton Hove Albion, my favorite team to pick, takes on Manchester City. Do you think your boys in blue come out golden in this one?
I think there are going to be several changes in this one. I think Haaland will play, and I think he and Alvarez may both start. I think De Bruyne probably sits. Rodri may even sit. But I think there'll be lots of changes, but I do think we take it 4-1. I think Brighton, again, doesn't have a lot to play for. City have handled Brighton pretty well over the past few times they've played them. And I don't know. I don't think it'll be much of a match. Could be because it's at Brighton.
At the MS.
But I think that we're locked into the Premier League. Now the Champions League's out of the way, we're locked into the Premier League. We're ready to go. I think it's 4-1.
Yeah, I've got the exact same thing. The two teams have played 13 times. Brighton's only won once at home. Once in general, and it was at home. So doesn't bode well, and I think that City's just going to be too much for Brighton. 4-1 seems logical to me. That's why I wrote it down. We'll see what happens, of course, as we move forward into this midweek. But before we get out of here today, let's go ahead and hop on over to Trivia Corner, I've now called it, for our trivia question for this week. What you got there, Keegan?
So we all know that Erling Haaland now owns the goal-scoring record for most goals scored in a Premier League season. We know that.
From last season,
he broke the record, finally. But who was tied for the lead before Erling Haaland broke it? There were 2 names, and they were at 34 goals in a single season in the Premier League. 2 names tied for the top. Who was it before Haaland broke their long-standing record?
I've got a guess, but I will hold it for our episode on Friday. because that's how this show works, okay? If you've got a guess, go ahead and drop it in the comments. And if you agree with me, I will be feeling better about my answer come Friday. But until we get over there, why don't you go ahead and grab your coffee, watch some soccer, and we will see you on the other